name is Hayley from New Holistic Wellness and Beauty, and this is Your Skin Explained. After speaking to a few different people, I've come to the realization that there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation out there about our skin. It can be a minefield and very difficult to separate fact from fiction. That is why I've decided to make a few short videos for the purpose to give you the facts and teach you how to take proper care of your skin. I will try and keep this simple and hopefully it won't be too technical. Here we go. The skin is the largest organ in the human body and is part of the integumentary system that consists of hair, skin, and nails. Hair, skin, nails, sweat glands, and oils are there to shield us against things that can cause us harm. For example, UV radiation, infections, abrasions, and harmful chemicals. On top of the skin, there is a very thin layer called the acid mantle, and it keeps the pH of the skin acidic with numerous bacteria and fungi that protects the skin from harmful microbes. It is made of sweat, dead skin cells, and a waxy substance that protects us from environmental threats. I'm pointing out the acid mantle because effectively that is our first line of defense. If we look at this simplified diagram of the skin, we will notice the following. It has 3 layers, and these 3 layers contains very specific cells that do very specific jobs. The top layer, which is the epidermis layer, is what is visible. That is the layer we think of when we think of the skin. That is also the layer we as skincare professionals work with. The middle layer is the dermis, where most of the work of the skin gets done, for example, sweating and the circulation of blood. It consists of collagen and elastic fibers that makes the skin strong and elastic. It is full of capillaries and blood vessels. It houses nerve endings and registers temperature, pressure, and pain, as well as hair follicles and sweat glands. The bottom layer is the hypodermis, or otherwise known as the subcutaneous layer, and basically it consists of fat. It is for insulation, it stores energy, it absorbs shock, it helps anchor the skin to the rest of the muscles. In short, this is where the most of your body fat hangs out. So just below the acid mantle, which is that waxy layer on top of the skin I mentioned previously, lies the most superficial epidermis layer. It is called the stratum corneum, and it is the roughest. It consists of 20 to 30 sheets of dead keratinocyte cells. That is another word for keratin cells. And they are cells that form a tough protein that is building blocks of hair, skin, and nails. It gives structure, durability, and it helps to waterproof the cells as well. It serves as a barrier between the skin and disease-causing microbes. Between these dead keratin cells, there is specific chains of lipid cells that help protect the skin. Now, the best way I have heard it being described was by Dr. Mervin Patterson from Woodford Clinic in Belfast. And he uses the analogy of a rooftop with roof tiles. So if a house has roof tiles that are intact, the house is nice and warm, and no damage from outside is found on the inside. If you have a house and the roof tiles are not in place, and these roof tiles have shifted, then when the rain and snows comes, it will leak through the roof tiles onto the floor, causing damage on the inside. That is the same with the 20 to 30 sheets of dead keratin cells. They need to stay in position to protect the skin, to ensure that no environmental threats like UV radiation or infection can occur. Now, these keratin cells are constantly dying. It usually takes your epidermis about 4 to 6 weeks to replace them. Moving on to the second layer, it is called the clear layer, and it holds 2 to 3 rows of clear, flat, dead keratin cells. On the third layer, or stratum granulosum, which is called the granular layers, They produce living keratin cells. They are the furthest from the dermal capillaries, and they do not get enough nutrients, so they fill up with keratin as they die. Basically, this is the layer where the cells start to die. So the deeper you go through the epidermis, the younger the cells get. The fourth layer, or stratum spinosum, is called the spiny or prickly layer, and it is getting closer to where new cells are being made. The Langerhans cells, which is the immune cells in the skin, are predominantly here. They ingest any unwanted invaders of the skin. The final epidermis layer is called the basal layer. It is the thinnest, and it is like a cell factory where new cell production happens. This is the layer also that connects the epidermis with the dermis. You will find melanocytes, and they are spider-shaped cells that produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin color. You will also find Merkel cells that are your tactile cells and is deep down in the boundary between the epidermis and the dermis layer. They combine with the nerve endings in the dermis to create a sensory receptor for touch. So the four main cells in the epidermis that gives the skin its function is firstly keratinocytes, which is the tough protein that gives structure and protection. Secondly, the Langerhans cells, which is our immune cells in the skin. Thirdly, melanocytes. It is the cells that give skin its color. And lastly, Merkel cells. That is the cells that registers touch and temperature. Because the epidermis doesn't have any blood supply, nutrients and oxygen is obtained from the dermis layer. So why is it important to know this? Our skin is our largest organ, and it covers us. It is our first line of defense against environmental threats. So we need to take care of it. There are 3 things we can do to protect the skin. The first thing we need to look at is the preservation of the acid mantle. Now, how can we make sure that the acid mantle stays intact? By not using a pH inappropriate cleanser or a bar of soap or any cleanser that would strip our skin of its natural oils and making the skin more alkaline. The second thing we can do to protect our skin is to make sure that the skin barrier or the outside layer of the skin stays intact. It is absolutely vital for healthy skin that the skin barrier is not broken. So how do we protect our skin barrier? Not to over-exfoliate our skin, and to use a moisturizing cream that is specifically formulated to protect the skin barrier. The third way that we can protect our skin is by using an SPF. During this week, a friend of mine contacted me because she knew I was making a video about the skin. And she actually asked me to share her story to show people how important it is to wear an SPF. This is what happened to her. This friend of mine lives in a very warm country. And because she had brown patches on her arm that was itchy, she started to scratch them, and she scratched them so much that it actually bled. The doctor examined her and found that one of the patches were precancerous. Now, she will admit that she doesn't like using an SPF because she doesn't like the texture of it on her skin. After this, she has definitely changed her tune, and she wants people to notice that what happens if you don't use an SPF. All of this could have been preventable. That is the message she would like to get across. So just to recap on how we can protect our skin. Firstly, we need to preserve the acid mantle. Secondly, we need to make sure that the skin barrier is intact and is not broken. And thirdly, we need to use an SPF every single day. When looking at skincare ranges, I think there's 4 very important questions that you need to ask. So the first question I think is important to ask is, how deep does the active ingredients actually penetrate the skin? If it reaches the basal layer where new cells are being produced, you will definitely see an improvement. The next question that I would ask is, does this product protect the skin barrier. I've watched and followed numerous different dermatologists that is around the world, and they all seem to have the same message. The skin barrier is super, super important. So you need to use products that would actually protect and heal it if it needs be. Third question I would ask is, what products do they promote for skin exfoliation? Is it mechanical exfoliation like facial scrubs, or maybe a facial wash with beads, or is it maybe a chemical exfoliation that works with enzymes? All of this is important because that's going to have an impact on the condition of the skin barrier. The final question I would ask is, what is the ratio of the active ingredients in the product? There's a lot of products claiming amazing results, but at what cost? They have the active ingredients in it that is really good for the skin, but the ratio is not right. So in a few years' time, we are going to see a lot of people that has super sensitive skin because they were using inappropriate products that was too strong for them. So don't take my word as the gospel. I will put some links down below so that you can judge for yourself and make your own informed decisions. I personally prefer to work with Epions as a skincare professional. And as a client, I am happy with how my skin feels and the condition it's in. Their philosophy is healthy skin is beautiful skin. You can go onto their website for more information on their products. It is www.epions.co.uk. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.